you think Star Wars would have been better left as the original trilogy? I think minus The Force Awakens, its reputation has been hurt by the following movies to shows. Well, I mean, if the question is, would it have been, if just for its reputation to stay as strong as possible, should have just stayed with the original trilogy and just ended right there? Sure, if you had ended right there, its reputation would be like, man, that was a great trilogy of films back in the late 70s, early 80s. But also its cultural impact would have shrunken dramatically. The number of new people joining in would have dramatically lessened. Where whenever you have these new releases, it's just kind of pouring fuel into the engine. And a whole generation of millennials discovered Star Wars because of the prequels. And people that grew up on the prequels are much more fond of them than people that grew up on the original trilogy. Because they were made for millennials. That was the target audience. They weren't made for as much directly for people that were just a little bit older or a lot older. So me and people older than me. And so people my age and older tend to be a lot more criticisms towards them. But there's a whole generation that discovered the original trilogy because of those movies. Like my son, I asked him, do you want to go see the original trilogy or the prequels? Because I got invited to see both of them today or tomorrow. And so he picked the prequels. He's more interested in them. He likes the OG too, but prequels are more interesting to him. Another generation, his favorite Star Wars stuff is people wearing helmets. Clone Troopers, Clone Wars show, Mandalorian. All of it new stuff. So, and even if you take your premise of should they have stopped when they were ahead? Well, for the OG batch of people 10, 15 years older than me, Star Wars dropped off with Return of the Jedi. My brother-in-law, my sister's husband, he's about 15 years older than me. And he's like, oh, Star Wars has been bad since 1983. Little teddy bears defeat the Empire? Really? A second Death Star? Really? People that loved the first two films, went to Return of the Jedi, there are people who are disappointed by it. That felt like it had turned corporate, it had turned too kiddie. That happened in 1983. So I grew up, I'm born in 81, I grew up on Return of the Jedi. So I always adored it, always thought it was great. And the teddy bears were always baked in the cake. I never thought of anything of it. People that grew up on the prequels, they have that experience with the prequels and stuff that I complain about. They're like, I don't know, I never saw any of that. So it's tough to say, but I mean, I wouldn't argue for that at all. I wouldn't prefer that history. There's plenty of Star Wars. I'm excited to go see the prequels despite having major issues with two of them and some issues with the third one. I'm very excited to do this. Some of it just because my son's excited about it, and some of it just because it's George Lucas Star Wars, and for what it still has that magic for me in a way that Disney Star Wars, for the most part, I don't have that. And maybe 10 years down the line, I'll start to have some of that shifting emotions for some of it. A lot of it I know that'll never happen, but a lot of it probably will, at least a little bit. Most of these clips are pulled from my Patreon live streams. I do about 6 live streams every single month. For $2 per month, $20 per year, you can get access to all the exclusive videos and live streams. For $5 per month, you get your name on my end card. At the top tier, you get a 30-minute video chat with me each month. The link down below in the description has more information.